Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's online information session. My name is Wisdom Akpakige. I am the principal consultant with Dow Immigration Consulting Services Limited here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, duly registered with the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council. I'm also a member of the Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants. Today, we'll be looking at a very interesting topic, which is life in Canada from an immigrant perspective. And I have two dynamic personalities here today to do justice to this topic. These people have enormous experience, both from, their personal life experience and their interactions with people here in Canada. They will be sharing lots and lots with us today. I know today's session will be really, really engaging and informative. The two people I have here today will be Eno and Ken. I'd like to, first of all, thank Eno and Ken for taking out time to be with us today and to share your experiences with us. Eno is a business analyst and change manager based in Calgary and in Alberta. She is an award-winning career coach and speaker who has been recognized for helping more than 5,000 immigrants kickstart their professional careers here in Canada. She is a business analysis, content developer, and course instructor at the University of Manitoba. She is the CEO and founder of Eno Consulting Incorporated, a boutique consulting firm here in Canada. In about 3 years of arriving in Canada, Eno has touched the lives of thousands of immigrants to Canada. She has curated mentorship and coaching programs for immigrants to Canada, which have sought high recognition and awards globally. Eno is an embodiment of service as she volunteers with several nonprofit organizations to help immigrants to Canada integrate successfully and become gainfully employed. Eno volunteers as a mentor with Calgary Region Immigrant Employment Council and sits on the board of the IIBA Calgary chapter as Director of Education. She also volunteers at the Calgary Drop-In Center and Calgary Dream Center. She is giving back sponsor for the women in, she's a giving back sponsor, I beg your pardon, for the Women in Need Society. She's the host of the live stream podcast, Fireside Chat with Eno, where she shares valuable insights on job search tips and strategies for new immigrants. Her awards and achievements include Forbes 30 Under 30 nominee 2020, education category, Alberta Top 30 Under 30 recipient 2021, Calgary Top 40 Under 40 nominee 2019 and 2020. Universal Women's Network winner 2019 award for mentorship. RBC Women of Influence 2020 award recipient. Top 100 Black Women to Watch in Canada 2020 award recipient. She's also Canada's most powerful women, top 100 award in the RBC Future Launch, Future Leadership category nominee. Oh, the list is very long. She's also RBC Top 20 Canadian Immigrant Award nominee 2020. She's 2020 Talberg Eliasson Global Leadership Prize nominee. She's globally recognized and featured by the IIBA for Business Analyst, Career Advisory, Campaign Ambassador for the United Nations and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, host of the Global Business Analyst online meetup. She's also IIBA Global Corporate Member, IIBA endorsed education provider for all IIBA certifications. She is authorized training partner for Agile and Scrum through Scrum Study. Wow, that's really, really impressive. The next person we have here is my very good friend, Kenneth Oguzie. Kenneth Oguzie is an international trade specialist and CEO of Africa Canada Trade and Investment Venture Active, an organization which promotes international trade and business between Canada and West Africa, both within private sector as well as creating public sector collaborations. He's also the Vice President of the Development of Ocean Technical Capacity with African Nations. I think that is DOTCAN, a Canada West Africa not-for-profit initiative. Ken was born in Nigeria, but he considers himself a global citizen, having lived in Asia, in Europe, Africa, and presently in North America. A prominent member of the Nigerian community and a recent recipient of this distinguished Nigerian in Nova Scotia Award for contribution to the West African community. He was recently awarded one of the top most inspiring immigrants in the Maritime. Ken volunteers in various committees, such as the Halifax Local Immigrant Partnership, Assessing Skilled Force Committee of the Halifax Chambers of Commerce, Welcome to Canada, Halifax Immigration Museum, Pier 21 Ambassador, ISAN's Employer Advisory Council, Diversity and Inclusion Standing Advisory Committee of the Nova Scotia College of Pharmacists. You will agree with me that Ken and Eno are in a very good position to do justice to our topic, because they are not only immigrants, but they have come to Canada to make their marks here in Canada. Once again, Eno, thank you very much for coming. And Ken, thank you very much for coming today. Without further ado, I'm just gonna launch the event today by asking a very fundamental question. Why did you choose Canada? What were the things you considered? I mean, Eno or Ken, feel free to jump in and share your thoughts on that question. Thank you.
Okay, hi, Wisdom. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to share my experience. Why did I choose Canada? I chose Canada because I'd always been curious about this country that's very immigrant driven. It's an immigrant country, very receptive to immigrants. And diversity and inclusion was something that was very paramount with the government here and the people. So my Canadian dream started like way back after I actually finished from the university. I tried to come to Canada as a student. That didn't work. And thankfully, I found the Express Entry Federal Skilled Worker Program. And that's how I was able to come to Canada, and everything just played out at the right time. But definitely, I saw it as an opportunity to explore North America in the best way that's open to immigrants, people of color. There's diversity, there's inclusion, and there's that opportunity to grow in a thriving economy. So that was my reason for choosing to come to Canada.
Great. Ken, you want to jump in right here?
Yeah, I think thank you for having me, Wisdom, and it's a pleasure being a co-panelist with you, And I think most of what I just said, typically it's not too far away from what sort of guided my decision, especially around the diversity and inclusion piece, in terms of when you look at the reputation of Canada as a country and most of the policies which they have in place to welcome immigrants and all of that. But for me, having lived in the US, and obviously I was living in the UK at that time before I immigrated here about 8 years ago, I sort of, I've spent time in the US, I've spent time in the UK. So based on my research, I wanted sort of like a hybrid. And you can agree with me to an extent that Canada it's more like a bit of the US, but with a European flavor. So it was sort of like best of both worlds for me. So I was like, you know what? Do some research. And then I put in some time, did my research, looked at what the opportunities were, and and then that's how sort of I just got in here. But I think the other piece for me was around, you know, having my kids were growing up then. I mean, not that they've grown up now, but I was at that point where they were kind of younger, and I felt like I wanted a place where I could raise them comfortably without having to worry about some of the issues you've heard about raising kids in diaspora and all of that. So I was living in the UK at that time, and personally, I didn't really think I wanted to do that in London. So Canada seemed to just be like the best choice at that point in time. And, you know, to date, I think it's going well, and I hope it continues that way.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that question. Just before we proceed, I'd like to let everyone know that we will be taking questions. So if you do have questions for our guests today, we would encourage you to type your questions on the chat box, and then I will read out the questions for them to answer. So we're just going to make some progress here and move on to the next question. Again, I'm happy for any of you to jump in and pick on the question. The next question is, how has it been since you landed, settling in and finding your footing here? What has it been like? Want to share some thoughts on that?
Okay, I'll go this time since
okay, cool.
you went the
first time.
Yeah. Well, and I think Eno probably agree with me too. And you know, I must first of all commend you for all the accomplishments so far, because you know, I understand how much effort and how much sacrifice you have to put in to be able to achieve all of that, when you have to juggle with personal family stuff and all of that. So well done and congratulations to you. But for me, it's been going well. It's been going well. I can't complain. You know, I've been, you know, family settled here, you know, in terms of my career as well, it's progressive. And of course, I have launched my own business, which I set up 5 years ago, really to promote trade and business and investment between Canada and Africa, because I kind of discovered that, yes, there are some, you know, there are some inroads in terms of Africa as a business destination. But one thing I observed was there was more emphasis around Canada-European trade or Canada-China trade. So one of the things we've been doing the last 5 years really has been, how can we make some more noise about the opportunities in the wonderful continent, in the motherland? And it gives me a lot of satisfaction doing it. It doesn't feel like a business. It doesn't feel like work for me, you know, because it's more like I'm immersed in what I'm doing. I'm part of what I'm doing, and I have a personal stake in terms of what I'm doing. So I would say it's going well. It's going well for me. You know, the family love it. Everything seems to be okay. And I'm really looking forward to the next stage as, you know, as I come closer to spending a decade in Canada.
Wow, interesting. Eno, I see you're smiling. You're ready to go.
Yeah, Ken is definitely where I'm going to be in a couple of years. But Canada has been great. It's been wonderful. Of course, there are definitely challenges when you're trying to settle in. I moved to Canada without having any family here. So no father, no mother, no brother, no sister, no uncle, nobody. But, you know, with a hope and a dream that, I mean, if they're already Nigerians or here thriving and doing good, then what stops me from doing same? And that was the hope that I had. Definitely had my initial challenges, you know, coming to Canada all by myself. When I arrived Canada, you know, heard so many things about, you know, the workspace and jobs and things I should not do and not do. So many advices from people that were already living here. And, you know, the initial journey was rough because like I lost my bags on my way on my last flight to Canada till date, never got them. You know, so many things that I just felt like, is this right? You know, meeting people here that, you know, I was hoping I would get that encouragement because I've always been a career person and always been very ambitious with regards to, you know, the things I wanted to achieve. But, you know, at first I was told that's not possible. You know, there's some certain kind of jobs you can't get. You have to start with, you know, like a, you know, transitionary job, or like they're called, you know, those minimum wage jobs, like working as a store associate or working at the, you know, warehouse and things like that. And, you know, that kind of almost killed my morale because I was coming to this place that I'd read much about, seeing all these people on LinkedIn. And I'm like, how is it possible that, you know, after all these years of, you know, studying, getting all this education and work experience, I would really go back to doing this, something that I would never even do, back in my home country. So what did I do? I really just set my mind to what I wanted, and that's the truth. And that's what I encourage a lot of people here to do, is that Canada will favor you if you believe it will. And whatever you choose to be your own story will be. Don't map out your journey based on another person's journey, because it probably didn't work out for that person for some reason. Doesn't mean it won't work out for you. The first place where I got a job, after arriving in Canada in 2 weeks, somebody, very close to me, actually told me that she had applied, to that same company so many times. And she started carrying that notion that they don't employ Black people, which I felt like, why? Because I go on LinkedIn and I see Black people working in this company. So I don't believe that's true. So, be careful of the narratives around you or what people say. And I went on to apply to that company, and I got, that first job at that first interview with that company, right? So, Canada has been wonderful to me, giving me so many opportunities that I never thought would be possible. As you could see from my bio, I now own my own company. I do consulting as well, and I have a coaching company. And all these things actually sprung up from the fact that, there's a lot of opportunities here. And I want to be able to help immigrants, get, those good paying jobs because they're available, and also help them to actually build profitable businesses. Because there's a lot of opportunities here that I hope everybody that's on this on this session today is listening to the fact that if Ken could do it, has an existing thriving business for 5 years, I have mine for 2 years, and we've gotten all this support from from the government, from our local communities, that it is possible. Canada has been beautiful. It's been great. I love it here. I've been opportune to, travel to, other countries and even other cities based on the work that I do. But I look forward to coming back here. I live in Calgary. It's a great, and lovely community. The Nigerian community here is growing. Just choose your narrative, and then of course choose the people around you that would support you. Find communities where you find people that have the same like mind and the same drive that you have, that would support you and help you grow.
Wow, 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 wow. That is interesting. Ken, do you want to add some more thoughts on that?
Yes. I think makes wonderful points, and that whole piece around narrative. I have been an immigrant 5 times in my life, so I think for me,
You're not mad, Ken. You're not mad. I keep in Canada soon. I don't know.
So sometimes when I consider going back to Nigeria, and I'm an immigrant when I go back to Nigeria, sometimes based on that, so I have to still adapt and all of that. But I think you make great points. I think that whole thing about choosing your narrative, the mind is a very tricky thing, and I think the way you set your mind really affects how much your trajectory would be. I talk about the immigrant journey, which is full of roller coasters. So I tell people, most people within their first 1 month of coming abroad, they start questioning their move. Like, oh my God, I think I've done something wrong. I shouldn't have done this. But guess what? As far as, like Eno said, you're ready to chart your own course, you're ready to quieten all the noises around you and focus on that trophy, it would get better. That's the most important thing. And you're ready to put in the work, it would get better. Look at it. I'm looking at all these achievements you've done. And it's fascinating to me. Even the fact that, I think I would consider myself fortunate, and I would consider myself successful to a degree. But I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, everyone listening, in terms of this webinar, should draw a lot of inspiration from your story, because you came in here, you created structures when there were no structures. You build your own thing pretty much. And I think that's amazing. Canada offers you that platform. It offers you that environment. It's now left for you. So you don't have much excuses to say, you know what, it's not working and all of that, or start joining those groups of naysayers or individuals who would never see any positives, And it's interesting because I do have the conversation with some of the brothers and sisters from the continent who complain about, oh, it's not great in Canada. I'm like, listen, what were your expectations? Did you think it was going to be handouts for you? No. Basically, Canada is just going to give you that stability, provide support for you. It's now left for you to create something out of it. It's as simple as that. So I think we all seem to be in agreement that your narrative, change your narrative, stay focused, and take action. Really, that's what I had to add to that.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Because yeah, you would agree that what most of us heard even before coming over to Canada is once you immigrate, you're gonna kiss your career goodbye. You're gonna be doing dishes all your life, or you're gonna be doing stuff like that. So are you really ready for that? I mean, but look at Eno, look at Ken. They are like living proof that you can come to Canada and still live your dream and achieve whatever you want to achieve. And I believe they already started sharing some of the things that you need to do to ensure that you get back on track. So we're just going to make some progress here. I know we have started already discussing this, but I'd like to ask Eno and Ken, breaking into your field of endeavor, what were some of the challenges? I mean, Eno did not just come to Nigeria yesterday night, and by this morning she's a CEO, and she's just flying and flying. There were some challenges that would have come your way, and you did certain things that helped you to overcome those challenges. So do you want to share some of those challenges and how you were able to surmount them and get things moving?
Yeah, sure. There definitely were those challenges, and just like we said, it was getting the mindset right. Based on precedents, right? So I'm a business analyst. I now own my own business analyst consulting company, and there were some certain like maybe groups, when you're trying to all these PPR groups and things like that, and when you get your residency visa, and people start saying, what are you coming to do, blah blah blah. And I said, oh, I'm a business analyst, so I'm gonna definitely want to come and practice. Like, oh, no, you definitely can't do that. I think you should just consider like nursing or something. That's not possible. Like, trust me, in the person's world, business analysis has casted, they don't employ Nigerians, like so many of those things. So definitely those initial challenges of, people who I believe, oh, they've been here for, many years. And if this is what they're saying, then I should just dump it and never, go back there. So I'm definitely, filtering those advice that I was getting, because, that could definitely affect your mental state and, kill your drive. Another challenge, that I faced, when I was trying to get into my endeavor was basically finding people who were willing and able to assist me in my journey. I mean, I was able to still meet a couple of people, but trust me, there are people who would read your message and not respond to you, who would ignore you and all of that. And then they come back, at this time and they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm just seeing your message. After a year or 2 years, I'm like, seriously, so those things, also can, affect you as well. For me, I've always been someone who's a go-getter. When I set my mind to something, I'm going to achieve it without anything that comes in my way, is going to go down. That's how I am. So before I arrived Canada, I started networking with people, reaching out to people. My first week here, I was networking, going for coffee meetups, meeting out with people, who were in the same field that I was in, and trying to draw knowledge from them. How are you able to achieve the success that you have? Because this is what I want as well. I've been told all these things and it is not possible. And I've been told it's not possible. I can see you've done it. So how can I learn from you? And I found people who could mentor and coach me. And that was a game changer for me, because that changed the narrative of the people that had been telling me all these negative things, all the while. So that was a way I was able to sort of, shut out the negative noise and focus on positivity as well. A challenge I had when I was starting up my business was because I was a new immigrant and I hadn't built a a lot of credit. I wasn't able to get any business credit or funding. So my business actually started off on personal funds. And that was how we've been able to grow so far without any external funding. But it's been going very well. I'm grateful to God for everything. And I must say that because of the way I sort of challenged things and said, this is not going to be my case, I've been able to help a lot of other people too, because when I came to Canada, I met people who were here for a lot of years and just also, absorb that narrative that it would never be, things would never be great for them, that they had to go back to start with those, low paying jobs. And I told them, hey, let's look at other ways that you can leverage your experience back home, get it into other industries, looking at other opportunities. And we're able to do this for all these people. And then that's how we started all these communities of helping immigrants to get better jobs and not having to settle for these transitionary jobs as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ken, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think it's, to be honest, it's not too far from most of the things which just alluded to. But I think one thing that really helped me, obviously, the fact that I had experience moving here before I've traveled around. But I think one of the key things is strategy. People need to be very strategic in terms of everything you're doing, both from a business side or even your career, if you want to set up a career. So a good example would be like I did say in the article which was published in CBC and all of that, I talked about the fact that even if you move to a new country and you want to step down, like, what, I was, let's say, manager in, Ghana or Cameroon or Nigeria, and I come to Canada, what, I still want to work within this sector. Sometimes, you give it a shot, a few applications here and there, it's not happening for you. Then you go back and re-strategize. How can I work in terms of ensuring that every step I take today would contribute to me getting back to that managerial role? So basically, if you then have the luxury of, money, I still have some savings here and there. So maybe look into something like, maybe I might apply to become a financial advisor, because that way you are still within the financial sector and you could still leverage your skills and gradually build. One of the biggest problems people have sometimes is, like talked about, you go with the crowd. So all of a sudden you're switching to nursing. And no offense to anyone who's switching to nursing, but understand that it's like you have like a reset button for you in your life right now. So you don't turn around in 4 or 5 years and start complaining about how terrible Canada is, because basically nobody studies nursing, graduate, and in 4 or 5 years you're balling, because you probably at your, maybe if you move here in your 50s or late 40s, in 4 or 5 years, the level of responsibilities you would have might start overwhelming you. And then you're talking about how, Canada has not really been favorable, but that's because you didn't really strategize. So think about those jobs you take up in terms of what we call survival jobs, especially when you be like, let me start off small, but make sure it ties to the long-term strategy. That's one of the key things. And I think the second thing too, I wanted to, talk about, which and also spoke about, is about the company you keep, like who are the people you're talking to. I find that a lot of times people's trajectory in terms of in a country, a lot of it is dependent on the first set of people they hung out with when they arrived. I have seen this happen so many times. So when you, and I know it's not enough because I'm sure she has seen that same issue with people. So be very careful when you come into a new country like Canada, just like every other country. Think about the people, because it's like a marketplace where people came from different destinations. So because we find ourselves here together doesn't mean that we all have the same dreams and aspirations. You need to find that niche, that group of people whom the moment you see them, you understand these are the people whom I want to be. These are the people who sort of share the same goals and their aspirations align with me. And then, like Eno said, you can start learning from them. What are some of the challenges? A lot of them will offer you information. Some of them will disappoint you, but that's part of the lessons. Immigration is not for the faint-hearted. If you're not a risk taker, if you're not a bulldozer like Eno is doing, she's bulldozing. Like when you knock on the door, they don't open the door. You kick down the door, you break down the door. You wouldn't keep knocking. So if you don't have that mindset, then start rethinking if you want to immigrate. It doesn't mean people who are immigrated are better than others, but it's just that human beings are different. We come in different packages. So you have to move with what really suits you. Everyone just thinks about it like it's on the rosy side. It's a lot of work. It's hard work. You need to be creative. But the most important thing is you need to be strong, stay focused, and be strategic. That's what I really wanted to add to that.
I would like to just piggyback on what he said, wisdom with regards to strategy. You know, and I see that there's a lot of people on the webinar today that probably are still back home from the questions I'm seeing. Very, you know, a lot of people who are eager to come here. But I love that you're eager. I understand. In fact, I wish there were other ways we could help you guys to come to Canada and, you know, see how life is here. But as much as you want to leave Nigeria, maybe you feel like there's a better life for you here, which of course I know there is. However, you want to have a strategy, you know, prepare for your arrival. Don't ever have that attitude of, you know, anyhow, you know, anyhow, anyway, now way, you know, anyhow. Like I've heard people say that to me, that, you know, I just want to get there. When I get there, I'll hustle it out. And when you start to say that, that's exactly what happens to you. Those same people that we were like in the same, you know, batch of people that probably got there like PPR or whatever at the same time, you always have all these groups. And also that had those notions of, you know, I'll just come and hustle it out. I mean, it's abroad, anything. You find in your 2, 3, 4 years down the line, they're still doing those hustle jobs because they didn't plan. You know, they didn't do their research. Okay, I was working just like Ken, I was working in finance back home. Maybe I worked in GT Bank or Zenith Bank. Do I still want to work in the banking sector? Okay, what are the top 5 banks in Canada? What are the roles available for me based on my experience? What are the qualifications that I need to have? What are the things that are required? Okay, there's actually a certification for banking. How can I start preparing for that certification? Can I get the books? Can I start studying? Can I actually book an exam date and take that certification exam, right? You know, I want to become a project manager. I want to become a nurse, whatever it is. In Canada, a lot of careers here are regulated. And there's a lot of things that employers look out for. Look at the job descriptions. What are the skills, soft skills, hard skills, certifications? Start planning your journey. You know, I want to arrive in Halifax, Calgary, Toronto, fantastic. Well, cost of living, housing, you know, what's the monthly cost of living, you know, transit, like taxes, all these things you need to start planning and preparing to also make sure that, okay, you know, what's the average salary, you know, for a, you know, project manager or for a financial advisor in Halifax or in Toronto. You know, if I'm earning X amount of money, what's going to be my monthly you know, spend, right? How much am I going to save at the end of the month? These are the things that you should be thinking about and planning before you even arrive. Because when you get here without planning for your arrival, you're faced with so many storms. I thought with immediately you leave the airport, in fact, from the airport, if you buy your SIM card there, you know, the bills start running. Right. And that's where you're now pushed, because that POF that you think is a lot of money, millions of naira, is really not a lot of money by the time you change it to dollars. And you're now pushed to the point where you have to just take up anything to pay your bills, and you're just pushed to the wall, and it takes you a lot of time to get back on your feet.
Wow. I just feel like we should just keep talking and talking and talking. But I'd like to take this a step further, and I'd like to also balance things. So we've talked about some of the challenges that you faced when you came into Canada. I'd like for us, in order to balance things, to also talk quickly about some of the support that you got here in Canada. I know that for example, people with families, when they immigrate and get to Canada, the government starts giving them some amount for their children. And I know also that beyond financial support, there are many agencies like Ken was involved with iSense, Eno is also involved with many of such agencies here in Canada. So I'd like for you both to spend a minute and talk about some of the support system that either you made use of when you landed, or that you are aware of that immigrants can take advantage of when they land.
All right, I'll probably just jump in real quick, and I'll make it real quick, Justin, based on the interest of time. So I think, yes, there are a lot of support. So you already alluded to some of them. So like the settlement agencies, like here in Nova Scotia, we have iSense, which stands for Immigrant Services Association of Nova Scotia. That was actually my first job, and basically was around providing all sorts of employment support and other sort of settlement support. It was pretty much like a one-stop shop for immigrants. And then, of course, there are a lot of other government benefits here and there. But even from a business standpoint, if you want to set up a business, there's a lot of things out there in terms of advisory, in terms of, if you need support in terms of your finances, or even things like marketing, digital stuff, and all of those basic things which an entrepreneur will probably struggle. Then coupled with the fact that you're an entrepreneur who is new in an environment they don't understand. So there is definitely support, and I think it has been really helpful for immigrants and for individuals. So it's always great to have that at the back of our mind, obviously in combination with your hard work and your strategy. So I think that's all I can say on that.
Eno, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, of course. And, just like Ken said, we also have those services here in Calgary. So I'm a mentor with Calgary Region Immigrant Council. And what they do is to match, new immigrants with mentors. So people who are like in the same field. So if you were in banking and you want to become a banker, they match you with someone who's a banker here, medicine, whatever it is, they do that. And that sort of helps you so that you're speaking to the right people, who are going to help you review your resume, your LinkedIn, prepare you for interviews and all of that, so that, you get the right advice. So CREEC is a wonderful place to go. Immigrant Services Calgary, Women in Need, there's CCIS, SIWA, these are all immigrant services here. Newcomer Center as well. They help people with, resumes and, their LinkedIn, and helping them with, the soft skills, because they have soft skill programs there, because with a lot of immigrants and, especially people that come from Africa, there's this culture difference, and being able to blend into the Canadian culture here is something that they need to learn. So these centers actually help new immigrants with this. And then of course, advice on, helping them with their taxes, helping them with, getting their banking information, housing, and then of course the needs I know a couple of them help you with getting furniture and things like that as a new immigrant, and just, showing you the way around.
Yeah, thank you very much for the insight there. I think I would just jump in and also say some two things actually, and I know that Ken will agree with me that is applicable here in Halifax. There's what we call the Halifax Connector Program, and that is done by the Halifax Partnership. And what that does basically is to link a new immigrant that has just landed with someone in their field that's already practicing and has lots of experience. So what you would gain is they'll tell you a lot about the industry, what to expect. They can guide you in terms of your resume, what to put in your resume, how to search for jobs and all of them. Many times, these people are also immigrants that over the years they've been able to, get into their industry, and they found a footing there. Another one that I would like to highlight here would be the job placement from ISANS. I know Ken knows this very well. So ISANS actually helps new immigrants on job placement. So what this is they send you to different companies that would need services like yours. One of the biggest challenges for hiring manager is, so if I'm bringing someone into this company today, how do I pay them the salary? The business aspect of things. So even though they might want people, they want to be sure that the person I'm bringing in, I know this person very well, or I can vouch for this person. And sometimes they may not really want to take chances with someone that's just coming into the country. But this is where ISANS comes in to say, okay, we would pay you a stipend, and then the employer doesn't need to commit to anything. So the employer doesn't pay you anything. They get something like a free work from you, right? Whereas you have like a foot in the door. So a manager sees you work for him for free, and then they're able to assess you to say, oh, yeah, this person looks great. I think it's someone that we want to bring into this team. And then when you have that 6-week window, they're able to make that decision, and that can that can actually earn you your job. I'm actually speaking about my own personal experience because that is how I landed my first professional job here in Halifax. Okay, I think we've done serious justice to these questions. What I'm just going to do now is I'm going to go to the chat box and start picking questions from there. So I'd like to remind everyone again, if you've not dropped your questions, please go to the chat box and drop your questions so that I can read them. So I have a question from Tunde. It reads, I'd like to know about studies opportunity in Canada for international students. Are there any colleges or universities that don't require deposit payment prior to getting admission or enrollment process? Well, why I really want us to like say a thing or two here is because we have not really talked about studying in Canada. I know that Ken, maybe you didn't come in as a student, but I mean, from your interactions with people, you would have heard one or two things about people coming in to study in Canada. Would you like to share some thoughts on that?
To be honest, I think Wisdom, you might be the best person to answer that particular question. But I think,
okay.
like, because it's a very specific question. I mean, I can speak about studying in Canada, obviously, because I studied in the UK, and it's a little bit different here in terms of some of the things like. I mean, they had the work permit option too, like after graduate. But
Absolutely.
in Canada, I know the scheme is a little bit more effective, and it really gives people that opportunity to stay back after they graduate. But in terms of student visa piece, I think it's just like every other thing where individuals have to just demonstrate the fact that, they have sufficient amount of money, to study, pay their tuition without any recourse to public funds and all of that. So I'm not sure about the schools that, require deposits or not. I think that's very, very specific, and I'm not sure if we can list that. But I think, yes, Canada is a great place to study. It's wonderful. I've interacted with a lot of students. Some of them are my mentees at the moment, and, they're having the best times of their life. So I would advise anyone to, consider studying here. And of course, you have Wisdom, though immigration. So you pretty much have all the resources end to end. So go for it. I'll pass it to Eno if she has anything.
Okay.
I'm clueless. I didn't come here to study, so I don't know about universities here, but it's definitely a great pathway to become a PR here because you get, I think, a 3-year work permit after graduation.
Okay, I'll jump right in there because yeah, like Ken said, I know much about that question. So there are two things you have to do if you want to study in Canada. The first thing is to get an admission from a designated learning institution here in Canada. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to get the required study permits that allows you to come and study. So one thing I'll tell you is you need to, first of all, decide on the school you want to study. There are different factors you have to consider: the weather, the tuition of the school, the cost of living, very important, of the city of the school. So when you've put your thoughts together on where you want to study, you can then apply to those schools. And most schools, though they have general requirements, but some schools have specific, very, very specific requirements. So I'd encourage you, once you've seen the school that you want to study, go to their website. You see all the requirements on their website. And then once you secure the admission, you can then get onto the study permit application aspect. Again, like Ken mentioned, if you require any assistance, we are here to help. I just posted our contact details on the chat box. Feel free to contact us and we will help you. So I'm just gonna move quickly to the next question here. Okay, this says, my application has been delayed, okay? We all know that COVID has impacted the whole world. So it's not really anything new with experiencing delays with this thing. So I'll just encourage you to exercise some patience and hopefully you get that sorted. Okay, now this is a good question. I heard that Canada generally it's a very cold country. Is it true? And if yes, how did you cope with it as a new Immigrant. Okay, let's go for it.
So whenever people talk about Canada weather, I have a phrase I tell them. I said, as far as my bank account is warm, I don't care. So that's my typical response to that. So Canada is cold, but if it keeps you, as far as your bank account stays warm, to be honest, that's my biggest concern. And that's always my go-to response. But but on a serious note, I think it's like every other thing. At the end of the day, you can't have it all, right? And life is all about sacrifices. So it's no one gets used to the cold, like I tell people. And it's just about the mindset, understanding that, what, I'm traveling to a cold country. I'm moving away from the typical heat, or if you're coming from one of the temperate countries. So basically, I'm going to put whatever I need to do in terms of the dressing, whatever I need to protect myself and stay healthy, I'm going to do it. So understanding that, preparing whatever you need to do, staying warm in terms of the right clothing and all of that, and then have fun. Because even with the cold, even with the extreme weather, people still have fun. People like do their hiking. There is like ice hockey and all of these things, which you just sort of learn how to adapt. You just sort of behave like the Romans since you're in Rome, and you forget about it. Like, yes, the weather is always there, but to be honest, after a while, you wouldn't really pay too much attention anymore. It just becomes one of those things like a regular day in traffic in Lagos, and it's just one of those things, So,
I like how you reference that to traffic, because to be honest, it becomes part of you and you don't even see it as anything. Oh, just 2 hours traffic. Oh, it's nothing, right? I tell people, I said, if nobody here has died from, being in Canada because it's cold and nothing's going to happen to you, dress for the weather. There's definitely, winter kits that you should have. There's also winter practices that you would learn and adapt to. I came when it was supposed to be spring, and then stepping out of the airport, it was snowing, and I ran back inside because I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was able to escape the winter, but sadly, it was still snowing even in spring when I arrived Calgary. But I sort of adapted to it. The next day, I was out and about, with my head warmer, my gloves, and my jacket, snow boots, and off I went because I needed to get things going because I came here to live and not on a vacation. So went to shop and did all of those things. So you're just going to have to adapt. The weather, yes, there are cold months, but there are also very warm months that you would wish for the cold to come back, because sometimes the heat can be a lot too as well. But then again, dress for the weather. And like Ken said, there are so many things you can even do during winter, like skating, ice hockey, and blending with the society here. If you've come here to live, then, make it a way of life. That's it.
Perfect. And I've heard this saying severally. In Canada, there is no bad weather. There is only bad dressing. So as long as you're well dressed, you are good. Just put on the layers. So we dress in layers here. It could be 4 layers, 7 layers. Just put the layers on. And as soon as you get uncomfortable, take out some layers until you get comfortable. And when you get uncomfortable again, put back on those layers. We're going to move on quickly. I have another question here. I think this is also a very specific question, but I'm going to ask you just in case Ken wants to share any thoughts with this person. Chidi says, my question goes to Ken. How can I start business here, especially farming? What are the steps to take for an all-season farming? Ken, do you have any thoughts there?
Well, like you said, it's very specific. It's very specific. But I think the good thing with Canada is the most important thing is having like a pointer to what organizations are set up to support whatever business type you want to start off. And depending on the province, which I'm not sure where Chidi is, if Chidi is in Nova Scotia or somewhere else, they are like organizations like government or like not-for-profits, which typically are there to help you, whereby if you, okay, Chidi says Saskatchewan. So I wouldn't know what the agency in Saskatchewan is called specifically, but I think reach out to, do some research. And I don't mind, sending something to Wisdom to share with you if Wisdom can share that with you. that's not a problem. But I'm sure there are agencies you can reach out to. And basically what they do is they will probably have individuals who provide support to people depending on the sector. So they have like sector-specific agents within those organizations who can signpost you. I gotta admit, I'm not really conversant with all the steps to, to set up farming. And to be honest, I also want to know. But I think the best thing is just to start off with those agencies, and probably they can provide you more information.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm just going to move on. I see this question here, and I think either Eno or Ken can advise this person. The person says, I'm in Canada. I'm currently working on my registration as a registered nurse, but I wish to have my own business in the future, either related to nursing or not. Which business will you advise me to look into, and how do I go about it? I'm asking this question because I know that both Ken and Eno had mentioned earlier on about putting a strategy in place, because that will inform a lot of the steps that you take and the direction that you will head. So I'm just going to leave you both to anyone that feels they want to jump in and say a few words before we move into the next.
So she's a nurse, and she said she wants to have a business in the future with regards to nursing. What I would say is, if you want to have
either nursing or outside nursing.
She needs to know what exactly she wants to do, right? So, what are your areas of interest, and what are the things that unique to you? For me, my business is around my skill set, as in business analysis and project management. So I never went to say, I want to do something in the medical field or engineering, which is, wisdom is an engineer. So, you want to make sure you're focusing on your zone of genius, which is, the things that you're good at, and that people would pay you for that. So focus on your zone of genius. I don't know what it is, but you definitely want to outline the skills that you have, the qualifications you have, that, and whatever services you're going to provide that people would pay for, right? And then when you decide what it is, I'm very sure that there's already people who are doing the same. Look at what they're doing, look at their structures, see if you can learn from them as well. With regards to registering a business and all of that, it's pretty easy here in Canada, wherever you are. In your province, there's definitely ways to register your business. And there's, just like Ken said, there's organizations that would guide you as to the steps to take. There are nonprofits as well that would help you with that. But it really starts with you knowing the market, making sure you do your market research, that there is actually a market for your services here. And then, of course, know the pricing structure that will work for you. That's a whole webinar, by itself, but it starts with you sort of mapping out a plan and, analyzing your skill sets and if there is a market for that.
Thank you very much. And I'm just going to move on. This question is really interesting, and I'd like for us to share our thoughts on it. It says, what future or opportunities does Canada generally hold for kids? So I believe this person is thinking to immigrate with his or her, with their children, and they're thinking about the future for their kids. So Ken, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, one of the motivations here for me too was the fact that, Canada is a stable place. And, when you look at crime rates overall in comparison to, major countries, like we're stable in that regard. So I think personally, there are a lot of opportunities for kids, both from an academic standpoint and from a sports standpoint as well, because we have seen the kids of Immigrant excelling in places like sports, academics as well. And I think one of the main reasons I really love about Canada, which might also be not too far from some countries, is the fact that you have this opportunity to reset. So pretty much like anything you want to do, if it's your interest and you're ready to put in the work, you go for it. So I find that really helps in terms of you can take your time to really work with your kids to discover what are their passions, what are their strengths, devoid of any sentiments where, in societies where everyone typically has to be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, otherwise that kid is a failure. So in this situation, your son can decide, or a daughter can decide to be anything they want to do. As far as you see that's their passion, the platform is there to support them. If they put in the work, they can succeed. So I think that's a huge advantage for parents. And that's one of the things I tell a lot of parents here that when your kids are here now as new immigrants, it's a reset button. Let them work with them, explore what are their strengths, explore what are their passions, and help them develop it instead of just the whole box mindset, which, you know, sometimes traditionally, I spent 2 years or 3 years of my life in medical school. And, you know, today I thank God I'm not a doctor, because I would have been so frustrated, because everyone kind of felt like that's, you know, you should be either a doctor or an engineer. But, you know, and it's not like being a doctor is not the best thing out there, but it's just that you have to work with your personality and what floats your boat. So that's one of the advantages you could get when you bring your kids this way.
Thank you very much, Ken. Eno, I have a very quick question for you. I believe if you just say a word or two, the person might benefit from that. So Eno Eka says, if someone wants to work in the financial sector, what exams or certifications do I need to have? Do you have any advice for Ega?
Yeah, for sure. With the finance sector, if you're talking about banking, say retail or commercial banking, you're looking at doing the Canada Investment Fund Certificate. So it's called CIFC. That's the exam you could take if you want to also be able to deal in security. So that certification helps you to be able to deal in mutual funds, which is an investment here in Canada. Once you have that, that also opens opportunities for you, plus your banking experience. There's also the CSC certificate, so Canada Securities Certificate. So you're able to deal in bonds and stocks and all those other certificates as well as a banker. And then if you're looking to go into investment banking, there's a CFA certification as well that you could have that would help you work as an investment analyst. So these are some options that you can start looking at wherever you are. I know back in Nigeria, there were ways to start writing the CSC in Nigeria. So if you're in Nigeria, you can look at that. Or if you're close to your immigration, you can start reading the books. It takes just a couple of weeks for you to prepare, but once you get that certification, it opens the door for you to get into banking.
Perfect. We'll just take a few more questions and we'll wrap things up for today. But I think you would have answered this, but I'm just going to read because I don't know what the exam is. So in case you have any quick thoughts on that. So someone said, I just got my CBAP certification. I have a background in banking. How do I start a career in business analysis in Canada? This is Eno, yay!
I did see your name, but congratulations to you for getting your CBAP certification. It's definitely not one of the easiest certifications, but you got it done. I don't know if you're in Canada already, or you're back home in Nigeria, but you definitely want to start looking at the opportunities in your province of choice or where you live. Look at the job descriptions. What are the employers looking for? So aside your CBAP certifications, what kind of projects have you been involved in? Because your experience is also important. Fine, you got the certification, but do you have the relevant experience that employers are looking for? So review your experience and the projects you've worked on. Make sure you highlight your accomplishments on your resume. Make sure the accomplishments stand out. Have a strong LinkedIn profile as well, because when you apply for a job, the employer is going to look at your LinkedIn profile as well. So make sure you have a strong LinkedIn profile highlighting your accomplishments and the value that you bring to the table. So make sure your resume and your LinkedIn profile showcase the value that you have. Look out for jobs in your province through Indeed, through LinkedIn, through Monster. Connect with recruiters as well. Connect with the agencies as well for employment. Let people around you know you're looking for a role in business analysis. And then, of course, continue to improve yourself, because things are sort of different here. Employers are looking for BAs who also have a bit of project management knowledge with Agile and Scrum and all the other things that are applicable here when it comes to managing and implementing projects. If you can find opportunities to get a coach or a mentor, that would be fantastic for you. If you can find opportunities to volunteer as well, that would be great. But I would say, continue improving yourself. It's a very dynamic industry. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you're coming from a place of value. Make sure whenever you're speaking with the hiring manager, a recruiter, you're focusing on your accomplishments and the things you've done and how you can help that company. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I knew you would do justice to that question. We're going to take two more questions and wrap things up today. The first question I want to take is, well, I think I'll answer that question myself. It's from Biodun. It says, is it advisable to get a PR first before applying to universities in Canada? I heard tuition fee is less expensive after immigrating there. Or can I apply as an international student and work on getting a PR? So it's pretty straightforward. The PR is a permanent visa, while the study permit is a temporary one. So it depends on what you want. There are pros and cons. So if you come into Canada as an international student, you'll have to pay what they call the international differential, which means beyond the basic fees that every other resident pays, there's another aspect of your tuition that you would have to pay as an international student. People say you can get that faster. Again, with the COVID, I'm not sure which comes out faster, but for sure, when you come in as an international student, it is not a permanent visa that you've got. So after your studies, you'll be looking to get into some other form of permanent status here in Canada if you want to remain. And again, the applications are judged differently. So for your study permit, you're going to be assessed as though you're coming into Canada for a temporary reason. So ties to your countries and to your home country and stuff like that will be considered. But if you're applying for your permanent resident, nobody's going to check if you have any ties to your home country or if you have plans to remain permanently in Canada or not. I hope I have answered that question. The last question that I would like—
Can I just jump in very quickly, Wisdom?
Go ahead,
okay?
Ken. Go.
Yeah, so I just also want to advise the audience, whenever you're making it like a move, especially with the way Canada immigration is set up, it's always great to get some professional advice. So we're on a platform here, organized by an organization, which is Dow Consulting. And basically, I would advise, invest in getting professional consulting one-on-one. Get all the information, because it's not, sometimes you don't want to base a big decision of your life based on information where maybe the consultant is giving you in a rush. So do what you need to do. Invest in this process. Reach out to the business and say, hey, Dow Consulting, you guys have this reputation. Can I book a one-on-one consultation? It's worth it. Otherwise, this is where some surprises come for individuals, because they don't have all the information. It's in pieces here and there. And sometimes they have issues which some of it could have actually been avoided if they had done the professional route. So this is just my advice to individuals on the call.
Thank you very much, Ken. That is super helpful, because like Ken mentioned, there are some things that you may not have considered, and then some unpleasant surprises will spring up at the end of things, right? So yeah, we're open here. I just posted our contact information here. If you want to reach out to us, we're more than happy to come in and help you achieve your dream. Before I take the last question, I'd like to read this, and it is to Eno. It says, Eno, thank you so much. You are an inspiration. Keep soaring. I don't know what this word means, but it says the Obakma of Ladies Club. I think it's some form of a pleasant commendation here for you. Love and appreciate you. Thank you so much, Eno, and thank you, Ken, for all the time for taking out time to come and share from your experience here today. So I'm going to read the last question for today, and it's from Kabir. It says, what opportunities are there for development bankers? I think Eno might have something to say here. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's definitely opportunities here. There's like the BDC, which is a development bank as well. I know a couple of people who worked in Nigeria as bankers who now work there as, development bankers or analysts as well. if you already have that experience, we call it marketing back in Nigeria. That's not what it's called here. So that's something to know that, if you want to be a development banker, look at what is required. Just find a way, always do like that gap analysis. That's what we call it in business analysis, right? Look at where you are. What are the things I have? And what are the things that this employer requires? So if I want to be a development banker, what are the things I need to have? What are the things I need to highlight on my resume that shows I have this experience? I think that's all that person needs. And then, of course, if there are any exams or certifications or courses you need to take, get that done as well, because that would help to validate your foreign experience as well.
Thank you so much, Eno. While we try to wrap things up today, I'll just request quickly if you have like a 30-second parting words for the audience here today, final advice that you want to share with everyone. I think we'll start with Ken now. Ken?
Yeah, I think it's just the key thing is the most important thing, have a strategy, decide what you want, Moving to Canada might not be the most logical decision for everyone. So decide what you want, set very clear expectations for yourself. So understand what I aim to achieve and, what I aim to get out of this whole experience. Is it for myself? Is it mainly for my kids? All of these whole pieces. And then of course, have a strategy. How am I going to achieve this? Point A to point B. What are some of the setbacks that might come in? How do I mitigate or at least prepare myself mentally? Then the last one, what are the resources available for me to make this move? Who am I talking to? Reach out to your immigration consultant if you need to. Get all the expert advice that you need. Have the picture end to end, and then decide if you want to do it or not. That's my parting word.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you very much, Ken. Eno, over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Wisdom and Do Immigration, for this opportunity and for, inviting us to come share. I would like to share with everybody here on a final note that moving to Canada, Canada is not heaven. We're human beings here. There is definitely, different, stories, different journeys from everybody. Every person's journey is not the same. Every city is not the same, because your friend is here and has the same challenges or the same successes or wins doesn't mean it's going to be the same for you, right? So it's actually a life-changing decision that you want to make sure you're making it from, a right place, right? You're getting the right advice. You're filtering, advice that doesn't work for you. You're setting the course for your path. You're planning and having a strategy before you arrive. And even when you arrive, make sure you leverage the resources available for you, here in Canada. Life in Canada has been great as an immigrant as well. Lots of immigrants around you. So don't ever feel like, even if you're the only Black person or person of color in the room, a lot of other people that you think are, you see that are of other, colors like white, they're also immigrants. It's an immigrant country. So don't ever feel like there's no place for you. Wherever you see anything that's an opportunity, put up your hand, try. Even if you get a no, at least you tried, right? Because you only need one yes, is what I tell people. Push for it, go for it. Don't ever feel like, oh, I'm new here, I can't achieve this. I was able to, get a lot of success in my first few months here because I was always putting my hand forward and looking out for opportunities, even where I felt it was illogical for me to try to teach at a university here in just 6 months of arriving, or starting my own business in 8 months of arriving. So many things that, people would say, it should definitely take you, this amount of time. You want to make sure that you're charting your own course and you're just doing whatever you want to do because the opportunities are here for you, right? So have no fears, have no worries. If you plan and strategize, just like Ken had said, and leverage the resources available for you, it definitely would be a wonderful home for you and your family.
Wow. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Ken. You all will agree with me that this session has been really informative and it has been engaging. Thank you so much again, our guest, for sharing your experience with us here today. While we try to wrap things up today, again, I'd like to thank everyone for for taking out time to attend the information session today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions. And thank you for listening and following the session here today. Again, a very big thank you. I cannot oversay this. A very big thank you to Eno. A very big thank you to Ken. And would like to, I don't know if you call me Oliver Twist, but would like to beg that any other time we need your assistance, you will leave your doors open to us, because I know people have like millions and millions of questions to ask that we could not take for time today. I have also posted details on the chat group for those people that may still have questions and want to reach us. Our phone number is +1 902-802-0512. Our email address is info@dowimmigration.com. Our website is www.dowimmigration.com. Now, I also encourage you to follow us on our various social media handles. It will be at Dow Immigration. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. I'd like to encourage you to follow us. I think very importantly, if you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, this whole session is recorded and the video will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So I'd encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the notification bell so that you get notified when new videos get uploaded. So I'd like to say on the final note, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, everyone. And until we come across your way again next time, we say stay safe. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.